The House Intelligence Committee, we just deal with the 17 intelligence agencies. We had people that were very skilled in those areas, but we had no one that was really skilled at the Department of Justice. We got to have somebody who can bust down the doors at the FBI and DOJ, and we don't have that.
Kash Patel.
Kash Patel is
Kash Patel, or Kash as he's known in Washington.
Kash, I believe, brought a very different energy to that team.
It's a terrible development for the men and women of the FBI and also for the nation that depends on a highly functioning, professional, independent Federal Bureau of Investigation.
He was the Deputy Director of National Intelligence, overseeing 17 intelligence agencies. He was in the Department of Justice under Barack Obama prosecuting ISIS. During the Trump administration, the first time around, he was in charge of taking out ISIS cells in the Middle East, what the administration did successfully. So he has the domestic policy, or the foreign policy down. On the domestic side, he's the one who wrote that memo exposing the fact that the FBI was illegally wiretapping, issuing FISA warrants against American citizens who worked for a political campaign, the first Trump campaign. He has gone through and exposed all of the civil liberty violations the FBI has engaged in with, again, no accountability over the past really 10 years. And this started at the IRS under Barack Obama, by the way. It wasn't just in the FBI. So people like Andrew McCabe are trying to claim this is some kind of retribution. They're conflating retribution with accountability. And Kash Patel not only has the experience on foreign policy, but also on domestic policy as well, with all of his work rooting out this corruption used for political purposes against political enemies inside the intelligence communities and on Capitol Hill.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Rescue Michigan Weekly live stream. I'm your host, Adam. I am not home. I'm still visiting family for Thanksgiving. So good to see you, folks. Good to see you, Patty. How you doing? And,
good. How are you?
Good. Looks like we are live on Rumble. There was almost a glitch, but I think I got it sorted out before we went live. So we are on Rumble, but I am limited in my screen access. So I don't think, folks on Rumble, I'll be able to see your comments. Unfortunately, that's just the limitations we have. But welcome, everybody. We've got some new Trump picks for this week. We should probably just get right into it. I mean, there's been some great new ones. Obviously, we'll talk about Kash in a second, and then there's been some honkers too. So we got to talk about those. But what's new? How was your Thanksgiving, Patty? How you doing?
It was great. Michigan pulled off the upset of the century.
Yeah, I saw. Got a little rowdy at the end there with Ohio State being bad sports.
Yeah, they don't know how to lose. They're pathetic for sure. So, yeah. I mean, Michigan had the flag planted on us twice this season at home. And, we just went up the tunnel, didn't start a fight. And these guys were off on their end of the field singing the song they always sing at the end of the game. And our guys were in the center. And then they noticed or something. So they all in mid-song, they were looked over, saw what was happening, and left where they were to come and start shit. Yeah. And then before the game, they were also taunting players that were coming on, pre-game. Yeah. And so they were tough before the game and after the game, but not quite tough during the game. So
yeah, was it their head coach who before the game even it was saying losing to Michigan before was so traumatic? It was when he lost his father or something like that.
I'm not sure. I don't know. I didn't hear that particular one, but he did say back whenever in the COVID year, I think then he's we're gonna hang 100 on him. And I'm well, you're at 84. It's been 4 years. You've scored 84 on us in 4 years. So I don't know what your deadline was to hit that 100, but yeah. So, but that was great.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it has been a crazy week in news, and it's been a crazy week in global events. There's been war in Syria has broken out. There's been an attempted coup in Georgia, not the state, but the country. And apparently, Biden wants to cause as much chaos as possible on his way out the door. And in Michigan, I think the Lansing Democrats have got that same thing in mind. So we'll look at that. But we are at least on Operation Watchdog and the Rescue Michigan website. All of the Democrats' bills, all the bills, period, in the House, and all of their votes are caught up on. I still have to catch up on the state Senate. But we actually have a surprisingly light week according to the calendar for the last. There's 3, I think officially 2.5 weeks left of lame duck. I'm not going to put up on the screen just because I don't do anything that's going to cause my source. But I mean the source is with the what the House members are being told they will be voting on this week. And there's not a ton of things just in terms of quantity, but, you can't ever put anything past these people, and they'll probably end up, throwing more stuff on at the last minute. So who knows?
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot about the vaccine one, House bill. I don't remember the name, but where they want to do away with exemptions, I guess.
Yeah, I've heard Skaggs has thrown in a lot of new bills at the last minute. We can look at some of the new bills that are posted. But, before we do that, let's look at some of the new Trump picks. When we last left off, where's my screen sharing thing here? By the way, hey, everybody in the chat, Mark, Russ, all you guys, thank you guys for tuning in. And hello to everybody who's even watching after the stream. But let's go to where we left off on our Trump administration tier list. Actually, I guess this is probably better. It's a little smaller, but at least you can see the entire thing. Where we have so far kind of I would say a very mixed bag. We've got some absolute champions on one end, and then I think some people who are, if not going to be disasters, will be disasters, if not the ones that are going to outright sabotage Trump. And that's where we kind of left things off last week. But we have now some new ones. So let's get right to it. Let's see. I have a list of where I want to start. I guess probably we just start right off with Kash Patel, shall we not? Because, I mean, that is the big story, of course, is Kash Patel, who was the long anticipated and now official nominee to head up the FBI, which, as you guys saw in the cold open clip, has every bit of background to be qualified to be FBI director. And as people are pointing out, for all these people who keep saying, oh, he doesn't have experience, doesn't have the experience. None of the past several FBI directors had any.
Right, all of a sudden, experience matters. Like what?
Yeah, yeah, it's incredible. So James Comey, before he was director of the FBI, was an attorney at the Department of Justice. It's like no different from Kash Patel, who is deputy national security advisor. In fact, let me pull up here. I've got some clips. I'm not going to be. I was going to say not as fast, but I should really say even slower than normal because I'm.
Where is this board posted that you got all these reactions to it?
Huh? What, these?
Yeah, all the emojis across the top.
Oh, that's not me. That's just some kind of generic garbage that what do you call it? Tier maker just puts those up there.
Oh, I was going to say, man, this is you're going viral. Okay.
No, that's just tier maker. But anyway, here, let me switch to this tab. Yeah, here's Kash talking about what happened when the Biden administration took over and the purge that they committed, because they're of course talking about now how dare Trump actually try to fire anybody?
Right? How dare he? Exactly.
Yeah, so here we go. Here's the clip.
This is a perfect example of the hypocrisy of the Biden administration. Their call for unity is a joke. If you start with what we started this conversation with Strzok and Kleinsmith, I'm sure Kleinsmith's on his way to getting a presidential pardon, and maybe he'll be the next attorney general. There's one set of rules for them, and there's a different set of rules for us. Now, turning to the Defense Department, that's a great example. And you just named two individuals. Chris Miller and I appointed, scores of individuals, maybe hundreds, as we're entitled to the defense boards that help advise the Defense Department from business, innovation, science, technology, and policy. Now, here's the kicker, Maria. These appointments were all signed by Secretary of Defense Chris Miller. They are a legal standing order that is being actually ignored. And I'll give you one worse example, Maria. I was actually sworn in to the Defense Policy Board, and I received an email from the White House Liaison Office, which is a group of small people that represent the White House at the Defense Department for the Biden administration, that said, even though you were sworn in, we are pausing your onboarding process. I don't know where they get the constitutional ground to do that or the gall, but this call for unity is garbage. And I'll give you one stark example that struck me on my way out of the Pentagon. They terminated my employees who were on paternity and maternity leave because they were appointees by President Trump. If we did that, that would be a travesty of justice, and it would be an internal investigation for months, if not years to come. How can you terminate the employment of someone who has taken maternity or paternity leave to take care of their newborn?
So that's Devin Nunes on the left, who is the former chair of the House Intelligence Committee. That's Kash on the right. He used to be, I think, Nunes' chief of staff. And you hear him there talking about how he appointed hundreds of people to the Defense Department. He has every qualification for this. And of course, the reason why everybody in the FBI is shitting bricks is because he knows where all the bodies are buried. And
he said in whatever video with Glenn Beck, maybe, he said how he's read, the entire JFK file. He's read all the pages of the 9/11 report. I mean, he knows everything.
Yeah. So I have no hesitation at all to put, where do we have him on the tier list here? Kash Patel. He is going in the S tier, no question about it.
What is S?
S, I don't know why that's like the standard norm for like the thing above A, but it just is. I don't know if it stands for supreme or something. Should I put him above Bobby Kennedy? I don't think so. I'll put him pretty high up though. But no, this is a standard. I did not invent this. S is the highest tier. It goes, okay. S rank is above an A rank. Ask your kids if you have them. They've got the video games where S tier is the top tier. It is. That's just the way it goes. I did not invent this standard. It has just become the standard. Jay says satisfactory. No.
I hope not. Super, maybe.
Super, yeah, maybe.
Stupendous.
Yeah. Betty Nelson says, I don't care. He powdered 100. It's the fact that he went back to 2014, the exact thing impeached Trump for even asking. No wonder the world hates America. The corruption's beyond gross. I think the world hates America because of our own corruption. They've got their own problems too. I think, and we'll talk about this in a minute. I think the world hates America because we've had a long-standing policy of imposing ourselves upon all these other countries. But, we'll get to that in a second. Next up, the next person we have is kind of out of order, but since we actually were on this last week, the Agriculture Secretary, in fact, I still have Kelly Loeffler in my little list down here, but she was not. She was passed over. That was apparently just a rumor that was being started in Washington. It is not.
Well, people think that he's leaking these names to saying these names to certain people, maybe to find some leaks.
I think that's possible, but I think more likely the scenario is that various swamp creatures are floating these names out to see if they can build a momentum in the media where, they're like the neocons tried this a lot. Oh, yeah, Trump wants to pick Trey Gowdy to be the director of FBI. Yes, sure he does.
Yeah.
Nobody but the swamp itself wants Trey Gowdy anywhere near the FBI.
Yeah,
they were trying that.
He disappeared quick too, man. Remember that? That was weird.
Yeah. Anyway, so Brooke Collins, I must admit I don't know much about her. She runs or she was one of the top people at the America First Policy Institute, which is kind of like it was a lot of the Trump in-waiting policy advisors. It's amazing. The Democrats kept talking endlessly about Project 2025, and the America First policy was the actual thing that that was all the people that Trump was grooming for these policy roles. So I have to believe she's going to be loyal to him, I suppose, but I don't think I know much more than that. Now I'd say probably for lack of firsthand reasons to put her higher or lower, I'd say probably B tier, maybe even C, just to be safe.
I guess they put her C, kind of neither good nor bad. We just don't know.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I think you're probably right. I think that C is probably smarter. Dan Kafila says, "What's wrong with Trey Gowdy?" Let's make that. We'll help do the whole topic about that, Dan. Maybe
first of all, his hair, and there's an entire Twitter account.
That's not fair.
Dedicated to Trey Gowdy's hair. So
no. Trey Gowdy had a major role in sabotaging a lot of investigations. He has done a very good job of playing both sides of that. But let me tell you what. Let's do I'm going to probably do a short stream tonight because I'm not in my element. But let's put an asterisk on Trey Gowdy and come back and talk about him. Yes, absolutely. Dan, remind me if I don't have Trey Gowdy on the agenda for next week.
I'll tell you Friday night, Dan. Are you going to Killer Cares, Killer Christmas? We can talk about it Friday.
Yeah, I've made a note to myself to put together a presentation about Trey Gowdy. But anyway, so yeah, I do think I do think putting Brooke Rollins in the I've misspelled her name on that. It's Brooke Rollins, not Collins, in that thumbnail. So. Shame on me. All right, next up we have Matthew Whitaker, who has been named as ambassador to NATO, which I'm not clear why NATO gets an ambassador, as if they're a country, but they do. And Matt Whitaker, I can just tell by the howling in the mass media that they are scared to death of Matthew Whitaker, and that's a very encouraging sign.
Right. the more they yell, the better a picket has to be. Yeah.
Yeah. The more they howl in outrage. And Whitaker actually, apparently he ran for U.S. Senate some time ago. He actually said in a debate among 4 other opponents, he said the U.S. should only get involved in world conflicts when it's in our national interest to do so. He said he has, quote, a very high bar for what's in our national interests. He believed Russia's invasion of Crimea did not threaten the United States' vital interest, which it obviously doesn't. And he says there are ways you can strengthen NATO and the European Union. Referring to the other candidates, he said, probably among these 5, I'd probably be the least likely to use our military, spend the least amount on the military. Now, I'm not opposed to military spending if it's in the genuine purpose of protecting America's defenses, but saying that he's averse to military adventurism in a U.S. Senate debate is exceptional. By the way, Allegan News says, what's up with Adam's mic tonight? It seems like a laptop mic. It is a laptop mic. Although actually, it's supposed to be this headset mic. So let me see if there's a issue with that. Can I change that? Let me see what my microphone is. It is the wrong one here. How about this? Here, sound better, or does this sound worse? Did that do anything? Sounds the same. Okay. What about this? How about this? Does this sound the same or better?
That sounds a little better.
A little better.
Maybe
okay.
Less tinny, maybe. Yeah.
Okay. That's
we'll
probably.
Let Allegan tell us.
Yeah. Probably better. Anyway, okay, so we'll leave it there. Anyway, so yeah, this all sounds. I mean, especially someone running for office. Like the big thing people say about Trump is, well, Trump is he's holding back on the things he wants to say and do until after the confirmations are done, or he's holding back on the things he's saying because he has to get elected first, before the election. This guy was saying things when he was running for U.S. Senate. So cheers to him. I'm inclined to put Matthew Whitaker in the A tier personally. What do you think, Patty?
I don't know anything about him, so.
All right. Well.
Sorry.
We shall see. I think I am inclined to put him in A tier personally, because when you see the media going absolutely horrified over the pick. Now, how do I move this guy? Okay, here we go. Nope, come on, up higher. Sorry, guys, this is not my. I'll put him at the lower A tier because just to hedge the bets a little bit. Jay Mashad says Trump is not holding back now. Well, I hope not. We'll see. He's got a few challenging confirmations to get through, but we'll see. Dwayne Zantop says, "Oh, that's not the right one." I'll come back to you, Mark. Dwayne says, "Good evening from Plymouth, where he took out some of the trash. Good riddance." Yeah. Any news from Heisey this week, Patty? Has he been running his mouth anymore lately?
He posted we had a nice lunch after the swearing in of Chuck, and he was making fun of our lunch picture. I'm like, you don't even have that many people that would want to even go to lunch with you, so maybe you should keep your mouth shut. But then Matt went after him too on Facebook.
Yeah, nice.
So anyway.
Yeah. Mark says, I believe Trump is God chosen. Not only did Trump become president, he especially being president doing a Grover Cleveland in our lifetimes. I think Grover Cleveland is one of the most underrated presidents. He was great. He kept us out of war. That was his big thing. That's why no one talks about him, because
they all want to be in war.
Yeah, we had a peaceful, prosperous economy during the Grover Cleveland years. He was a Democrat, actually, although he had a Ron Paul foreign policy. So there you go. Anyway, so that's Matt Whitaker. Next up, Sean Duffy has been named Transportation Secretary, which I don't know what exactly his expertise in transportation is, other than that.
I would guess it's better than Buttigieg's.
Yeah, he was on MTV Road Rules.
No,
so there's that.
Real World.
Both. He was on Real World and Road Rules.
Oh, he was on Road Rules after? Okay, because he was on the San Francisco year. I watched that one with Puck and his now wife.
I don't remember. I think I did watch some of those when I was a kid. I don't remember anything about.
I watched a few, a lot of maybe the first 5 or 6 of them. New Orleans, we watched.
Yeah.
LA, San Francisco, Boston. Boston was good.
Anyway, as you say though, couldn't be worse than Buttigieg.
Right.
But apart from that, and I guess in transportation, all you can expect is he's not going to be someone that's going to be pushing electric nonsense. In fact, I think I did actually see some articles saying he was very hostile to the idea
Electric
of like
mandates.
a lot of meddling, electric mandates, all that kind of garbage.
That's
So,
right.
yeah,
Would
hard
he be
to.
responsible for the train disasters in California to cut the funding there or figure something out there?
Yeah. So I'd say tentatively we'll put him in the. We'll put him in
Maybe.
the. You think B tier or maybe C? I think C is kind of where C is definitely the middle
He's
tier.
kind of like the catch-all. If we're not
Yeah.
sure, we can always
Yeah.
move them up. We'll reevaluate them.
Yeah, and I don't. Yeah,
You should have a parking lot to the side, like the "you're fired" parking lot. If they,
yeah, I don't think anyone's going, oh, Sean Duffy for transportation, perfect.
right.
But then again, I couldn't tell you who I would pick for transportation secretary, unless it was going to be like a Thomas Massey type, something like that.
Yeah.
Speaking of Thomas Massey, we are getting pretty dang close, Patty, to it being official that Trump has broken his promise to put a libertarian in his cabinet. In fact, I think it is final. It's final.
I mean, I think the official 13 or how many are actually cabinet posts?
Yeah,
those are full.
Yeah,
those are full last week.
Yeah, there's a few others that are like SEC chairman, but that's not a cabinet post. So he has officially broken the SBA, which this and the SBA seriously, like the SBA is not something that's taken very seriously in Washington. Like there's a small business committee in the House and Senate, but that's like where you put congressmen to make fun of them, because the real committee is the Commerce Committee, not the Energy and Commerce Committee. It's called in the House, not the Small Business Committee. So promise broken. No libertarians in Trump's cabinet. Disappointing. But here's who we have, and you can see there's plenty of room here. Maybe after little Marco stabs him in the back, maybe he'll put a libertarian in the State Department. That'd be smart.
Yeah.
But we shall see. Anyhow, let's see here.
Where did we put Rubio? Is he an F?
F, yeah. F is the lowest F- there is.
Oh, little Marco.
Yeah. Oh, Tim Coon. That's right, Tim. I remember this. He was the acting attorney general after Sessions got fired. That's right. He was former chief of staff to U.S. Senator Jeff Sessions, who then went on to become attorney general, and he went with him to the attorney general's office. And if you recall, Jeff Sessions was an incredibly good attorney general. He was 100% rule of law, all about border security. He was the only person that was really doing that. And Trump went absolutely crazy against Sessions after he recused himself and caused it to be hired as special prosecutor. But Sessions' attitude was, I have to, because Trump went to Lester Holt and started saying this happened, and Jeff Sessions was there. And Sessions said, I cannot. I have to do this now. You have forced me to. And because he was so committed to following the law, Trump never forgave him, attacked him, fired him, endorsed against him for U.S. Senate for a Senate seat back when Tommy Tuberville ran, although Tuberville's turned out to be good too. So there you go.
Hey, Barry.
So, yeah, I think we could. Where do we already put him in as C tier? B tier? The guy
Whitaker?
I was just talking about. Yeah, Whitaker.
Put him as B. Or did we put him in that we don't know enough? C?
I think B's far. No, I think we've got.
No, you put him in an A.
Oh, did I? Oh, that's right. I thought we were talking about the Deputy Attorney General. Todd Blanche. No. Okay, I'm mixed up now. Was it Whitaker?
Whitaker was acting AG.
Whitaker was acting AG. That's right. Todd Blanche is Deputy AG. Whitaker, right. Okay, Whitaker, we already have him in the A tier. Good. Well, that brings us to Todd Blanche then, the Deputy Attorney General.
Should we do the top ones first before the deputies?
Oh, well, we did Pam Bondi last week.
Right. So are there other that are not deputies that we could get to?
Oh, sure. Well, there's several. I guess we could, if you guys want some good news to celebrate. There's Jay Bhattacharya for NIH. Now, NIH is,
it's not cabinet.
It's not cabinet level, but
he
Bobby Kennedy is at HHS, so
he'll work for Kennedy.
Yeah. Bhattacharya, I mean, even more so than Dave Weldon or Marty McCary. Jay Bhattacharya has been like absolutely, completely outspoken against all of the COVID lunacy, the lockdowns, the forced vaccinations, everything.
Marty McCary he's questionable, and he was pushing the vaccine for pregnant women, which was bad. So he's got that strike against him. But Bhattacharya, I think, was spot on pretty much everything.
Absolutely. Bhattacharya's reputation is 100% rock solid on the most important issues that NIH has to tackle. And my screen will not even let me just put him straight up into the S tiers. I need to scroll. I need to drop and scroll. So let's do that. Jay Bhattacharya, S tier, excellent pick. Good to see some solid picks this week. And Jay Bhattacharya, definitely.
While we're at it, I mean, if you want to move Dr. Jeanette down to F, I wouldn't be opposed to it.
Well, so my thinking with the D versus the F tier is that the D and the F tier are both for terrible picks, but the F tier are for people who are going to stab Trump in the back, that are going to absolutely destroy his presidency. And I don't know for certain that Jeanette, the Surgeon General, is going to be in that category.
In a TikTok video. She was in a TikTok.
I mean, in a TikTok video doing what, though?
Like when, apparently all the staff were overrun with COVID patients. She was in one of those TikTok COVID dance videos.
Oh, okay. All right. You're right. F tier it is.
So.
All right.
Fair. Right. Yeah.
Fair. But yeah, most of these F tier people, these are the people who could literally destroy Trump's presidency, who are going to turn it into a failure. So, and we'll talk more about them in a second. In fact,
the only thing with her, though, I mean, as Surgeon General, I don't know how much impact she would have in that job. It's maybe not an impactful job, but still, she sucks.
Well, you know who Joe Biden's Surgeon General is?
No.
Me neither. No one does. That's how important they are. All right. However, we do have.
And she's the sister-in-law of Mike Waltz.
Is she really?
His wife is this Jeanette's sister.
Oh God.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. All right. So there's that. And in other sad news, we have Keith Kellogg has been named special envoy for Russia and Ukraine, I guess, which is weird because how's that supposed to even work? This is, let me go to this. This is an article called Keith Kellogg's Plan to End the Ukraine War. I think this is actually kind of a misstatement. This is like based on a policy paper he put out months ago. I don't know if this is exactly his plan, but this is based on some paper. This is in May, he released a plan co-authored with, and again, I think they're exaggerating the terms of this, calling it a plan, calling for military aid to cease unless it agreed to hold peace negotiations with Russia. It said the conflict should be frozen along its current lines, which as it stands would leave Russia controlling around 1/5 of Ukrainian territory. Of course, the attitude in this article is, how dare we allow Russia to keep the territories it's annexed, as if that's like up for negotiation. Like Russia has said, like, no, we consider them a part of Russia. We will never, ever, ever negotiate them away. If you want to come take them, then you can come get nuked, because that's how serious we take this. This is all kind of a rehashing of the quote unquote realists plan that we've heard from Richard Haas, the Council on Foreign Relations. All of these, we'll call them the more realistic neocons, as opposed to the rabid, insane, deranged neocons. The Lindsey Graham types ones are just like, no, we need to destroy Russia. If that's what it takes, we will destroy Russia to the last Ukrainian. I'll fight to the last. Let all the Ukrainians die fighting Russia for U.S. policy interests. That's their ideas, and then there's the realist people whose attitude is, let's tone down this whole Russia-Ukraine project. It's not going well, and we've got more important things to do, like have a war with China. Like, their attitude is, we need to rule the world, and if this is not helping us in our goals to rule the world, then we need to try something different, because we have a policy of ruling the world. And so that's where they've come up with this notion that what we need to have is a policy for a ceasefire, a negotiated settlement of the Ukraine conflict. And so this is what they say, what they would do. The U.S. would continue to provide weapons and assistance to Ukraine to make sure Moscow makes no further advances, will not attack again after a ceasefire or peace agreement. Further, U.S. military aid for Kiev would require Ukraine to participate in peace talks with Russia. So the document says, to bring Putin to the table, the U.S. and its NATO partners should delay Ukraine's membership in the alliance in exchange for security guarantees. The Russians have been asked about this idea about a dozen times, and every time they've said, forget it. This is absolutely out of the question. Not a snowball's chance this will ever be given any consideration whatsoever. We have made it absolutely clear. NATO membership is our red line. It's not to be delayed. It is to be never, 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 ever, 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 ever happening. And by the way, putting weapons in Ukraine is exactly the same thing. That's why we did this thing in the first place. And they have said over and over again, we have been burned too many times. We have had too many treaties broken by the US and by Europe and by Ukraine. We had the Minsk agreements, which they all broke, which Angela Merkel from Germany says, we knew it was a lie. We were just buying time with the Russians, and it was done in bad faith. So Russia said, we will not ever do this again. We will not agree to this. So this article goes on, it's unclear whether Trump will use the plan co-written by Kellogg to end the war, which it won't do. Russia will say no. That's all there is to it. So this guy says, Donald Trump promised he would fix the war in Ukraine in 24 hours, but that is impossible. And even he probably did not believe that. Oh, you think? On the other hand, he would like to act quickly, and for that, he will push for an exchange of territories against peace. And again, these are things Russia says is non-negotiable. They're like, no, the territories we've annexed are now part of Russia. When they were part of Ukraine, they were occupied by ethnic Russians. That was like the problem, was Ukraine was carrying out daily shellings of Russian citizens in Donetsk city because ethnic Russians lived there, and they were banning the Russian language, banning the Russian Orthodox Church, banning them from, which, these are like human rights abuses. Mm-hmm. And Russia invaded because they're like, we will not allow you to torture and kill and oppress Russian citizens. We're not going to condone that.
All the quotes in this article, are they of that Kellogg guy?
Well, these particular quotes are from this analyst.
Oh.
But let's look at the paper. Let's look at the paper itself. It's, I think, linked right here. This is it. Let's see here. I'm getting closer to it, I think. Let's see here. Where do I find the dang paper?
Was that not a hot link?
The hot link took me to this page.
Oh, okay.
The hot link only goes to Newsweek. Let me see if I can find the paper without having too much dead air here.
Oh.
Kellogg paper, Ukraine. Let's see if it just comes right up. Okay, here's another story about it. This is the analysis of the story when it came out. Let's see. Does it have a link to it? Probably. Okay, here we go. The white paper looks like a link. Let's see if we get it. Here we go. America First, Russia and Ukraine. Lieutenant General retired Keith Kellogg.
America First Policy Institute.
Yeah, America First Policy Institute. There it is again. Key takeaways. Russia's ongoing war against Ukraine was an avoidable crisis that, due to the Biden administration's incompetent policies and rejection of the America First approach, has America entitled to endless war. Yes, it has. Very good. Okay. Let's get to the point. Bringing the Ukraine-Russia war to a close will require strong America First leadership to deliver a peace deal. Okay. What's the peace deal? Let's see here. Tell you what, guys, I'll put the link in the description so you can read through this yourself. I mean,
Tim,
all this stuff.
I don't know, Tim, how much Russian they were. I do believe those areas voted, and they chose to go with Russia. So I would say it was majority Russian.
Yeah, if you look at like the votes they had for their prime ministers, like the eastern, like the Donbass part of Ukraine voted for one guy, and the western part of Ukraine voted for the other guy. Like it looks like literally a map of the political map of the territories, and it's actually a heat map of which person they voted for. Mm-hmm. So this is what they say. A few creative ideas for an America First approach to end the war and allow Ukraine to rebuild. He also has a strategy is not fully revealed. We shall see what that is. But essentially, it's the same thing that we've heard over and over again. Dan Kafila says it was a sham election. How do you know, Dan? I didn't realize you were an expert in Ukrainian elections.
He's Ukrainian.
Oh, he is?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Well, as you know, every person here in America is an expert in American elections. So, being Ukrainian surely means that that's all there is to it. Anyway, we can do some more digging on that at some point if you like. At any rate, here we are, guys.
Back to the tier board.
Ukraine has lost the war with Russia. They have had hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians killed. They have lost 20% of their territory. And the proposal that the Council on Foreign Relations / AFPI basically is saying is that we can make some kind of deal to end the fighting if we make some concessions to Russia. Russia's like, We told you last year the time to argue with us was then. We offered you Istanbul plus then. Ukraine said no. And this is the thing too. Ukraine has literally illegalized negotiations with Russia. They literally passed a law that says we will not negotiate with Russia. Every peace deal that's offered, Zelensky has said, forget it. It's off the table. No. The only peace deal that Ukraine will accept, according to Zelensky, is Russia's complete and total capitulation, total surrender, abandon the 4 territories, and we'll talk about reparations and war crimes trials for Russian generals. That's Zelensky's offer.
Well, that's Zelensky's offer in a Biden administration.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll see how that changes.
Yeah.
But they have to change their laws to even come to the negotiating table.
What did Boris Johnson just come out and admit? It was a proxy war, and he's saying all this
stuff.
Yeah,
he said, Boris Johnson said it was a proxy war.
And he's the reason. I mean, they had a settlement in the first month or two when it was clear Russia had already won, and there was some kind of settlement. Then Boris Johnson flew there and blew the whole deal up.
Yeah, what happened was there was this agreement. This was in April of 2022. The first skirmishes began in February, and that was when Russia. You remember they stormed Gostomel Airport in Kiev, and they agreed to immediately have these peace negotiations. So they went to Istanbul, and the negotiations were extremely generous for the Ukrainians. They said, okay, here's the deal. We, Russia, will get out of your country. We will leave you guys alone. The only thing you have to do is promise not to join NATO and to stay neutral in global affairs involving our neighbors. And Ukraine said, yeah, let's do it. That sounds great. And then Boris Johnson flew to Istanbul and goes to Zelensky and said, no, you will not take those terms. If you take those terms, we will cut ties with you. The terms are you will fight them and we will back you up. Boris Johnson, and of course, there's no way he did this without consulting with the Biden administration first. Yeah, but that's what they said. They said we will back you, and you will fight. And that's when they literally had signatures on the documents for the peace deal in Istanbul when Ukraine backed out from the pressure from Boris Johnson, who just this week admitted it. Just this week, he said, you know what? This. And let me play the clip. I've got the clip here. It's on my X feed here someplace where Boris Johnson just this week just came right out and said the quiet part out loud. This is all a proxy war. Oh, I got a Lindsey Graham clip I got to play too. But yeah, let's look at this. Oh, the Lindsey Graham clip is even worse. It is appalling. Here's Boris Johnson.
The ability.
Hold on.
We are. Let's face it. We're waging a proxy war. We're waging a proxy war, but we're not giving our proxies the ability to do the job. And for years and years now, we've been allowing them to fight with one hand tied behind their backs, and it has been cruel. It has been cruel, and we need now to give them what they need.
So there's Boris Johnson admitting that we are at war with Russia in a war that we initiated. That's what he just said. We are in a proxy war with Russia. We are arming Ukrainians to kill Russians, a nuclear superpower. We are arming them to kill Russians on Russian territory. Here's Lindsey Graham saying this is all about money. Listen to this. Oh, wait, no, that's not the clip I was looking for. Where's the Lindsey Graham clip? Well, that one there is also obscene. That was the King David Hotel, but there's one even worse. Let me see if I can find the Lindsey Graham clip. He actually says this is all about money. This is all about money. This is about the $7 trillion worth of natural resources under Ukrainian soil. And once we expel the Russians from Ukrainian territory, we will take all of those natural resources. That's what Lindsey Graham actually said out loud in front of a TV camera. Let's see if I can find that clip right now. Well, I'll tell you what, while I'm looking at that, let's get back talking about General Kellogg. Since we were at that topic in the beginning,
yeah,
he is regurgitating the same notion that we're going to somehow win a war that we are losing by talking to them more loudly and angrily. Like, do people not get that the losers don't dictate terms to the winners? It is mind-boggling. So I will say that compared to Mike Waltz, who's insane, Marco Rubio, who's insane, and Alex Wong, who's insane, and Sebastian Gorka, Kellogg might be more realistic. I'm willing to put him at the bottom of the C tier. maybe, tentatively. But we'll see what happens in like month 1 of the Trump administration. I have a feeling it's all going to go south in like 1 month with this foreign policy team. But we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
So that is
that everyone who's at the bottom is all the foreign people, all the foreign policy.
The foreign policy team is the worst. Like the domestic policy people are not bad.
Where he could have probably used a libertarian, right?
Yeah, where he could have actually used a libertarian is where they're awful. But where they're good is like, the health policy stuff, the economic stuff, which, that's where Republicans generally have it easy. That's where Republicans have it easy is we need to be, tough on crime. Like that's not a hard thing for a Republican to say. That's an easy thing for a Republican to say.
Yeah.
But we need to treat other countries in the world as equals. That's a very hard thing for them to say. Their attitude is they want to be ogres, and it doesn't work that way anymore. Like we could be an ogre when we were, the world's global dominant economic and military power. Now we're not. So now we have a real problem that these guys are just, refusing to come to the table. And instead, there's like what Trump said this week. He goes to the BRICS and says, I will sanction you 100% tariffs if you dare challenge the supremacy of the dollar, the mighty dollar, he called it. The mighty dollar. If you dare develop an alternative payment currency and don't use our dollars, we will sanction you. And meanwhile, the global majority, China, India, Brazil, Russia, South Korea, South Africa, UAE, these countries are gonna be like, okay, we're gonna have to figure out how to just power through that because we will not allow this to continue anymore. And that's where things are today. Mm-hmm. And they're not going back. They're not going back.
No.
So anyway, we've got some other picks to put on the board. Let's see here. We have, let's get to the other worst one this week. Chad Cronister for DEA. DEA. I guess the idea is like if you put a fascist in charge of the DEA, it's a good thing because they're psychopaths, right, and they might scare.
Put a dirty cop in front of them.
Put a dirty cop in charge of the DEA. That's a great idea. Maybe that'll strike fear into the gangs or something. So for those who don't know who Chad Cronister is, join the club because he's just a local cop apparently
in Tampa, Hillsborough County.
Was it Tampa? I thought it was like Fort Lauderdale or something.
No, Hillsborough County is Tampa.
So Trump probably so he wouldn't know the guy personally because Tampa's the other side Tampa's the west coast of Florida, right? It's not.
Yeah, it's the Gulf Coast. Yeah,
Gulf Coast. Yeah. So
it's where Anna Paulina Luna, I think, is there, or she's in St. Pete, right next door.
Yeah, but anyway, this guy's claim to fame is being a COVID Nazi. That's who Trump picks for DEA. Now,
apparently he's pro transgender stuff too. There's a good thread about him.
Yes, there was that too. Let me pull this up here. This is from Spence Rogers, who is.
Oh, yep, I saw that same one. Yeah,
from a group called Go Right Strategy. So this is a conservative activist in Florida. I am from Tampa Bay, Florida. I have followed Chad Cronister's career, and people are asking me why he's a bad pick for head of the DEA. Here's why. He is a woke and weak Democrat plant and will backstab President Trump. He cannot be trusted. Here are some of the reasons. His office promotes transgendering teens by participating in the Tampa Pride events and created a liaison office for trannies and other Pride affiliates. Cronister expanded his office's DEI programs, has been a major proponent of anti-white male discrimination by removing merit as a primary role of advancement, turning to race and gender-based hiring and promotion policies. In March of 2020, the darkest hour, he arrested a local pastor for keeping his church open during COVID. The pastor spent $100,000 to upgrade his church's air infiltration system to make his church safe for those who wish to attend. Nevertheless, Cronister arrested him to hold a press conference, bragging about the arrest. The videos of that are on the line too, and on our X feed too. He's a big Democrat donor. He gave money to Democrats Barack Obama, Mayor Jane Castor, Congresswoman Kathy Castor, Congressman Charlie Crist, and the DNC. He is weak on crime, released a criminal with 35 priors, and then went out shortly after his release to murder somebody. He was weak during the BLM riots, having his deputies stand down as rioters destroyed property, including a gate at the county jail. His office was generally slow to respond during the BLM riots. When other sheriff's offices were around the state were out in full force, he supports red flag gun confiscation, as does Pam Bondi, let's not forget, and has used the policy many times. So, there he is at looks like some kind of pride rally there.
Yeah, there was another video of him where he was saying, if you don't have the COVID shot and you get COVID, you're going to have to, your sick leave will be on your own time. Like you won't get paid for it. But if you have had the shot, you will, everything will be covered.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Why in the world would Trump pick this guy?
Well, he's still obsessed with this freaking shot in Operation Warp Speed.
I still can't imagine Trump.
He doesn't care. That's why he didn't care about this Jeanette woman. That's not a disqualification for Trump.
Yeah. I mean, but why would he go to this guy and be like, oh, this guy sounds like the perfect guy to lead the DEA of all the candidates? I'm going to pick
I don't know. I don't know how, but he's F. Yeah.
F minus. Awful pick. Probably will backstab Trump at some point when the time is right. Or when the time is bad.
There's a lot of Floridians in that F column, F row, huh?
Yeah, F for Florida. Despite the conventional wisdom, that may be something to that, actually. Because you know who else is from Florida is the fantastic Governor Ron DeSantis. I wonder if there's not some kind of thing going on, but who famously Trump hates. So I wonder if there's not something going on there. Anyway, let's get to it because we're already 45 minutes in, and I got to get back to my vacation here. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Charles Kushner, ambassador to France.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
Well, you know what I like about this guy, though? He kept Chris Christie out of Trump's administration. And because Chris Christie prosecuted him. And I think that was actually a good thing. So, obviously I don't like Jared's policies, but you can't blame him for his son. Yeah,
but wasn't he pardoned by Trump?
He was, yes.
For something?
Pardoned by Trump.
Okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of pardon.
Yeah.
Someone else got pardoned tonight.
keeping Chris Christie out. And besides, ambassador to France, I think he's going to be someone who constantly annoys the French. I like that. I'm going to put him in the B tier, actually. He's not going to be a policymaker in Washington. He's going to be at post in Paris, like Thomas Jefferson in 1787. So
yeah.
he'll be far, far away, annoying the French. I like that. So good for him.
Okay.
Mossad Boulos, an Arab/Middle Eastern advisor.
That's Tiffany's father-in-law.
Tiffany's father-in-law, yes. I saw him at an event in Detroit.
And he was in town
before the election.
Mm-hmm.
It was a big Middle Easterners for Trump event, and it was funny because Laura Trump was there, promised them nothing in terms of Middle East policy. I don't know what this guy's personal politics are in terms of geopolitics and the Middle East conflict or anything like that. The impression I get is he's a businessman. He's a billionaire.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of his business is in Africa. I don't know. I don't think he has a particularly religious-based conviction in any of the Middle East affairs. Not that that's a bad thing, but I just don't know. I have no idea. The impression I got honestly from him at that event and the Middle Eastern people who were at that event, the Dearborn people, a lot of Lebanese community was there. It was to them like about access, which is a big thing for a lot of people. So, mm-hmm. But I don't know that he's going to be like someone who is like a counterweight to Mike Huckabee on his Middle East policy. I don't see that happening.
Yeah.
He's going to end up being more of an outreach type guy, honestly. So I don't know. I'm inclined to say C tier because I don't think it's going to make any difference one way or the other. The next up we have Todd Blanche, Deputy Attorney General. Todd Blanche was he was actually Trump's lawyer in a lot of the legal cases, the post-presidency cases. Hardcore Trump loyalist, big defender of Trump in like the criminal cases, which he did a very good job in, and the best job anyone could do. A good insurance policy, I think, for Trump in terms of if Pam Bondi goes south. Making sure that she's in line. So I think he'll be good. I see no reason not to think he'll be good. I'll say maybe B tier, maybe behind Bondi, as he will be. Kind of a next up. James Braid. That is not James. That's a different James Braid because he's a totally unknown person. He has got some kind of legislative affairs office with the White House. He was, I think, a former policy staffer for the Freedom Caucus. So that's a good sign, I think. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I even want to put them on the board, honestly. We have these other guys that we never posted on the board. Taylor Budowich and James Blair and Dan. Actually, I kind of do want to put Dan Scavino on the board, but I don't know if we want to put these inner White House advisors on at all. Kind of same with Matt Brezzo. I mean, these aren't going to be people who have named roles. They're just going to be White House staffers, basically.
Do they need to get confirmed?
No.
No. Okay.
But Kevin Hassett, National Economic Council. Someone in the chat just mentioned Kevin Hassett a while ago.
Someone was saying he was great.
Yeah. Yeah, and I wouldn't disagree, but all I could see, Tim Kuhn, if you have more to say about Hassett, by all means, you can say more about Kevin Hassett. But he is going to be on the National Economic Council. Was he the chair of the Council of Economic Advisors in the first term? I think he was.
He put a lot of stuff in here.
Yeah.
He said Hassett is head of Council of Economic Advisors at 9:27 p.m. Tim Kuhn.
Yep. Okay. So yeah, I'm sure it'll be solid. Again, I think the economic stuff is what should be easy for them, though. The hard stuff's going to be foreign policy, and that's where I'm really worried about Trump.
Well, the world's a lot crazier than it was 8 years ago.
Yeah, the world's crazier, and we're a lot weaker. I mean, the bottom line is our enemies have gotten stronger, and we have gotten weaker. Every day that passes, we are weaker, they are stronger. And I don't know why they think that, being tougher is going to, being tough, whatever that means, is going to somehow change that. John Phelan for Secretary of the Navy. So this guy is a businessman. He's a buddy of Trump's, big GOP mega donor. The media's howling about that, which to me is like, that's a good thing. That means he's not going to be one of these, snotty 4-star generals who got to where he did by, brown nosing with the deep state establishment for his entire career. He's going to go in and he's anti-DEI, very hostile to that kind of stuff. He's going to be focused on getting the Navy back into shape. I kind of like that. I mean, I don't know more about him, but I'll put him in at least the upper C, if not the B tier. Let's do B. Why not? We'll see. I like that. A lot of
That's A.
Oh, I put him in the A tier. Oh, yeah. Okay. Whoops. Okay, let's do B.
Maybe that's a good sign.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, but I think the fact he's hostile to DEI is definitely a good thing. And is that all of them? Oh, the last up, we have John Sauer for Solicitor General. That's the guy who will be arguing before the Supreme Court. And somewhere here, I've got some information about him. That's a story I forgot to look at on Kevin Hassett. Where was the story about? I've got it here someplace. On this guy. Let's see here. Hold on, folks. Sorry, I am just not as well prepared. Okay, there's a Todd Blanche, James Braid. Oh, here we go. This is the media's response to John Sauer. Long history of defending state laws at the U.S. Supreme Court, including abortion-related laws. He's worked on cases accusing the federal government of stifling free speech on social media. So let's uphold laws banning transgenders from participating in gendered sports leagues, and most notably, successfully push the U.S. Supreme Court to grant broader legal immunity to the president. Sounds good to me. Sounds good to me. You want a Solicitor General who will actually defend your policies at the courts, and he has a lot of experience doing that. So I say I'm going to move it up to, I think A tier is good for that. The media is screaming about that, so that's a good sign. And with that, this list looks better than it did last week, I would say. But the big. Hold on, let me put it back up.
Is this tier something we can access, a public link, or no?
I don't think so, only because I don't know that this website lets us do it. But
do a screenshot, maybe.
Yeah, I do take screenshots. I will take another screenshot of this.
Okay.
And of course, it's on the live stream.
Right. Yeah, it's true. They can, just cut our faces out of it.
Yeah.
Tim replied.
Yeah, last time he's tight with Stephen. Yeah, previously he was the chair of the Council of Economic Advisors. Is that right? Now he's in the National Economic Council. He started with Stephen Moore and Art Laffer, the Chicago guys, emphasis on reducing regulation. Well, that's nice. I prefer the Austrians to the Chicagoans, but nonetheless, it's still very good.
I don't understand Allegan's comment. I thought John Sauer will be arguing.
We need John Sauer to argue and SCOTUS with him out of the game. Now in the administration, who will do our SCOTUS arguments? No, that's what he will be doing. Unless you're from Missouri, Allegan News, because he's from Missouri. But he is being tapped to be the Solicitor General. He will be the one that does make those arguments. So that's where we are now. We have a pretty full list, and again, I think as we've said before, I mean, there's some strange ones too here, like Lori Chavez Dramer for Labor, but and then Jeanette for Surgeon General. But I think the big thing that concerns me is that his foreign policies are basically like neocon light, and the trap that Trump can get sucked into is he can't appear weak. He's going to make demands that other countries are not going to put up with. Then he's not going to be able to retreat from that position. Like when he makes this great deal for Russia. Hey, Russia, would you like to just freeze the conflict and maybe stop doing business with China? In exchange, we will not sanction you more or something. And Russia's like, no, we're winning the war and you're not. Buzz off. If you want to talk peace, then we can talk about a renegotiated entire security framework with Europe. But until then, no. And what's he going to do then? He's going to sanction them? Oh, darn! All those Russian goods will disappear off of American shelves. That'll be so sad. Yeah, vodka. Yeah, but there's no Russian vodka in our stores anymore. There's no Russian anything. They banned Russian firearms years ago. The Saigas. Saigas were great guns. They make the AK design in shotguns and in .308 caliber. Very, very, very good company.
Which ones were Russian? Popov, Smirnov.
None of them.
No?
Maybe Stoli. Well, what they do now is they launder them through other countries and just say they're products of other countries now. But no, they used to, I think, have some actual Russian vodkas on the shelves. But good. And Chad, correct me if I'm wrong. If there's actual Russian vodka you can buy somewhere, let me know. But I haven't seen any.
It's got to be Stoli, yeah. Smirnov, Popov.
I think those are all made in the USA, or probably made in Poland or something.
Poland.
Yeah. So whatever. Not that they were any good anyway. I mean, Tito's vodka was as good as any vodka, but whatever. Allegan News says, but maybe Trump DOJ will settle more lawsuits in favor of gun rights. Maybe. But as we talked about earlier, Pam Bondi and now also Trump himself, they're not very pro-gun rights, guys. They're really not. Trump being shot is not going to make him more pro-Second Amendment, unfortunately. That's just kind of the way that goes. Todd Blanche and Pam Bondi are not going to be pro-Second Amendment. So we'll see.
Anybody in the Rumble chat saying anything?
Actually, I cannot even look at the Rumble chat because I don't have the right screen real estate for now.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yep. So what else has been before we adjourn? We do have some more stuff to go over that was promised in the description because there are some bills in Lansing these next 3 weeks. If you go to rescuemichigan.com under Operation Watchdog, all of the House bills are now in, and there are even more lousy bills. We looked at some of them last week. Let me just pull up my spreadsheet so I can look at a few of them. But I didn't see much on this week that was actually scheduled for a vote that was all that awful. But that does not mean that it's not coming, guys. I would not put anything past the Democrats. I wouldn't put it past them to pass a bill and take it to the governor's desk that hasn't even been introduced as of now. They are not bound by the rules, and they have the votes to ignore them if they want to. And if the Republicans say, "I appeal the ruling of the chair," they'll vote that down too. So let me just pull up my list here of things. I know last week we talked about a bunch of them, but let's just see here what we've got in the very most recent bills. Let's see here. We have let's see here. We've got Let's see. Oh, shoot. This list is out of order. Hold on. Give me one second. I'm like, why is the bill numbers all scrambled? Because I had to change the column sorting. Like, this bill is not the right number. Okay, let's see what we got here. We have, House Bill 6145, 6146, actually 6143 through 6146. Some anti-gun bills thrown in at the last minute. These bills, 6144 through 46. 6144 mandate that all firearms be destroyed if they are acquired by the government in a taxpayer-funded gun buy-up. Now, they call these gun buybacks, which is BS. The government can't buy back something that they never owned in the first place. But it's common in other states, these things they call buybacks that are actually accurately called buy-ups. 6144 is a bill by Felicia Brabeck to mandate that any guns that the government buys, meaning that your tax dollars buy, be destroyed. Because why sell a gun for money when you can just destroy it and literally burn our taxpayer dollars? And if the gun buy-ups are not enough, they also have 6145, 6146 to ban guns seized by law enforcement from being sold. Because why would you possibly want to give police departments any other way to pay for operations besides your tax dollars? There's also 6134 and 35 seizing firearms from anyone subject to a restraining order, which is not the standard for taking away your gun rights. There's a much lower standard for getting a restraining order. And also anybody convicted of misdemeanor domestic violence would have their gun rights taken away. Bunch of different new food regulation bills, 6128 to 6131. These are bills that were introduced literally 2 weeks ago, guys. Like, after the election is over, they put these bills in. There's another one we've got, 6122, that would ban the use of a defense that it was a public health emergency as a defense against an air pollution regulation. So, just in case there's ever some reason why in an emergency you might have to, violate an air control ordinance. You will not be able to claim that as a legal defense. There's a few anti-cop bills, 6117, 6118, and 19, mandating law enforcement agencies have more use of force and duty to intervene policies, and also restricting the ability of them to execute search warrants, the quote-unquote no-knock warrants. Just making it harder to be a cop, making it less as if it's not already hard to be a cop. Giving them more legal exposure, 6113 and 14, making it a crime to tamper with evidence. I agree, it should be illegal to tamper with evidence, but the purpose of these things is to go after cops legally. There's also 6112 to change the licensing regulations for cops, which would also mean that if you are subject to a red flag, or you can never become a cop too. So there's that. And here's a good one for you. House Bill 6105, raise the corporate income tax rate almost double what it is. We kind of had that was kind of a big thing in Michigan where we, we're like 50th in the country in terms of our economy because our corporate rate was so high that businesses didn't want to come here ever. And Republicans took years and years and years and years and years of restructuring the entire tax policy to get us back to being a competitive state again. No, we're going to bring back the Michigan business tax. So yeah, these are just bills they put in this week, and I'm sure there's plenty more. Oh, here's a fun one for you guys. How do you like this? House Bill 6091 to 6093. When your kid gets picked on at school, you can sue the school for harassment. I'm sure the schools will love that they can have legal exposure for the things their children do in the schoolyard. I'm sure that couldn't possibly be any liability issues there. I'm sure that couldn't possibly cost taxpayers any money for schools to be held legally liable for children harassing other children. So these are the things the Democrats come up with, guys. And this bill, by the way, let's see how many co-sponsors that bill has. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 co-sponsors. So there you go. You can find these all at Operation Watchdog. That was House Bill 6091. And the sponsors, just to prove it here. Emily Devendorf, Carrie Rankins, Brenda Carter, Sharon McDonald, Donovan McKinney, Kimberly Edwards, Rachel Hood, Jason Morgan, Cynthia Neely, Amos O'Neill, Stephanie Young. Oh, good. Oh, good. Okay, someone in the Democrat Party is saying, sent to the Government Operations Committee. Okay, that's at least some sign of sanity there.
Jason
anyway.
Morgan is the dipshit over here who he's in the gerrymandered House District 23.
Yeah. For those who don't know, the Government Operations Committee is where they send bills to go to die, where the bill is going to never see the light of day. So the fact that leadership sent those bills to government operations means leadership said, no, we're not going to do anything with those bills. So that happened. So anyway, other than that, I don't know. I mean, we'll see. Big fog of war on what's going on in Syria. So we'll just see how that shakes out, I suppose. Of course, it looked like Al-Qaeda took over Aleppo, and now it looks like they're being beaten back. So who knows? Algan News says, so I need to write my state reps during lame duck to oppose their crazy. Yes, and we'll probably be running some petitions ourselves to do that. But for what it's worth, at least the agenda this week looks fairly good. Hot Cheddar says RFK Jr. is a paid member of the Libertarian Party. Well, I don't think that counts to satisfy Trump's promise when he ran as a Democrat and then endorsed him as a Republican. He may have been a paid member of the Libertarian Party, but I don't think that quite counts. I don't think the Libertarian Party would count RFK Jr. among their adherents. But I don't know. We'll see. There you go. All right, guys. I think we should call it stream. Patty, thank you for joining me tonight. It is only 7:00 here in California, but I'll be back later this week, and we will keep you guys posted for sure if there is any urgent calls to action this week. But thank God the at least in the House, the calendar looks pretty light this week. So 2.5 weeks to go, and then finally we get to enjoy the Christmas time. So there you go. All right, Patty, you got any events? Anything else you want to promote for us this week? Or
I'm just waiting to hear from State Committee. We had a meeting a few weeks ago, and it went to
how'd that go?
About 3 a.m, and there has been not a peep since. About
3 a.m?
Yeah,
that's a long meeting.
Yeah, and I think was never even adjourned. I don't know. That's what I'm hearing. I fell asleep.
It was never adjourned.
And
but they lost quorum. They had to have.
I don't know. I mean, I'm ex officio, and anyway, but yeah. So if anyone's watching, guys, we're sitting here wondering what's going on. We have a meeting on the 14th in Frankenmuth, and we're supposed to have county conventions on February 6th. And
I heard that got. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to
that did not pass to move the dates.
Okay. Huh.
So, and people were against it because, people have already been planning on these dates for months.
Yeah.
So really, I mean, find another solution. Like March 9th. Okay. The issue was Cobo didn't have room for 13 delegations on Friday night, whatever that would be, March 8th, I believe. All right. So have us go somewhere else on Friday night or do districts somewhere, whatever. Or the people who travel from far away can take priority of the rooms, and, we can meet in Washington GOP for 6th. And you know what I mean? All of us who live close, there's at least 6 or 7 of us districts that are close enough that we could do our district thing offsite. We don't have to be at Cobo under the same roof with everybody.
Yeah.
Seems
I have a
foolish.
controversial opinion. I kind of like the Dort Center. The place in Flint.
Oh, with the no air conditioning. Well, I mean, it is winter now at least, but that was awful.
I didn't mind.
That was claustrophobic. There was only one way to get into that room, unless somebody lays it out differently.
The way the voting was handled was awful, but I think the venue itself wasn't bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
I don't know, but anyway,
it might not work for 13 different district caucuses though. But I don't know.
Yeah, but again, we don't have to be in the same location. We're only meeting as districts that night. Who cares?
Yeah, that's true.
Right. And some people are like, well, people who are running want to go room to room. I don't care.
Yeah, me neither.
I don't care.
No, if you can't win without going room to room, then why?
Yeah.
If that would make the difference, your what do they call it, the walkthrough or whatever?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Why should that inure to anyone's benefit? That doesn't make any sense.
Kind of like to know what's going on with that. There's been zero communication since.
Yeah. Jay says the bag/food restrictions at Dort were unacceptable. Okay. Fine. Alga News says let's officially add Ron Paul to Doge and libertarians will be happy. Yeah, probably. But let's see that happen. Happen. Why have they been snubbed? Yeah, Aaron says Flint was nice. I think Aaron, you correct me if I'm wrong. You're from Flint, are you not? I might be wrong about that. Maybe just closer to Flint than the other locations. People are saying Soaring Eagle, Radisson to Telegraph, and I-696. Yeah, there's different options. All right, guys. I think this will do it for us for tonight. Thank you all for tuning in.
Yep.
Hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving, and looking forward to some peace and quiet before the battle resumes in January. And until then, thanks for all you guys do for liberty.
Good night.
Peace.